In the dead of night, behind enemy lines, a young woman navigates through the narrow, bombed-out streets of Nazi-occupied France. The Gestapo is just minutes behind her. The resistance depends on the message tucked in her coat, and if she's caught, everything crumbles. But who is she? And why have we barely heard of her? In this dark, twisting narrative of World War II, we're uncovering the forgotten shadows, women spies who risked their lives and in many cases were lost to history. The stealthy saboteurs entering the world of espionage. In the lead-up to the Second World War, espionage was predominantly a man's game, yet when war broke out, governments quickly realized that women had an invaluable role to play. Not only could they slip past enemy scrutiny more easily than men, but they also possessed the crucial ability to blend in, communicate undetected, and carry out missions that men often could not. The Special Operations Executive SOE, formed by Churchill in 1940, began to see the potential in training women for covert missions. This marked the dawn of one of the most extraordinary periods of female espionage in history. Among the first women to be recruited was Vera Atkins, an enigmatic figure who helped oversee the deployment of over 40 women into occupied France. Atkins had a fascinating role as a recruiter and organizer for the SOE. Her sharp intellect and obsessive attention to detail ensured that these women received the best training possible. Little did they know, many would never return. Interesting fact, Atkins herself became an intelligence officer after the war, working tirelessly to locate the women she had deployed who never came back. Some were betrayed, others disappeared without a trace. The human weapon. Violette Szabo's relentless pursuit of freedom. Few names evoke as much respect and admiration as Violette Szabo, whose fiery spirit and bravery turned her into a legend. After her husband's death in battle, Szabo was determined to continue the fight against the Axis powers. Recruited by the SOE, she underwent intense training, learning Morse code, sabotage techniques, and survival skills that would become vital when she was dropped into occupied France. Szabo's first mission was a resounding success. Her fluency in French and strategic mind allowed her to pass crucial intelligence to the Allies. However, it was her second mission that truly tested her mettle. After a fierce gunfight with German soldiers, Szabo was captured. Despite enduring torture, she never revealed her secrets. In 1945, she was executed at Ravensbrück concentration camp at the age of 23. Interesting fact. Before her capture, Szabo managed to send vital intelligence that saved countless lives during the liberation of France. Nancy Wake, the white mouse who cheated death. Nancy Wake, a New Zealander with French ties, became one of the most famous and daring agents in the war. Her life story reads like a spy novel. After witnessing the rise of Nazism while living in France, she joined the French resistance. Her resourcefulness and bravery quickly earned her the nickname the White Mouse, given by the Gestapo for her ability to slip through their traps. Wake's missions involved everything from sabotage to training guerrilla fighters. One of her most daring feats was cycling over 300 kilometers across enemy territory to re-establish contact with the SOE after her team's radio was destroyed. Wake didn't just evade capture, she actively sought out ways to take the fight to the enemy, leading guerrilla warfare missions that helped cripple German supply lines. Interesting fact, Wake's fearless leadership and sharp intelligence skills made her one of the most wanted people in Nazi-occupied France, with a 5 million franc bounty placed on her head. One of the most poignant stories from this shadowy world is that of Noor Inayat Khan, a descendant of Indian royalty who became the first female wireless operator in occupied France. Raised in a household that espoused nonviolence, Khan's decision to join the SOE was unexpected. Her job was one of the most dangerous, as wireless operators had a life expectancy of just 6 weeks. Yet Khan operated for over 3 months, sending crucial intelligence back to London. Her courage in the face of adversity was nothing short of legendary. When the Gestapo closed in, she refused to abandon her post. Betrayed by a fellow agent, she was eventually captured and tortured, yet she never revealed any information. Executed at Dachau concentration camp, Khan's final word, according to witnesses, was liberté. Interesting fact, Khan's life story was so inspirational that she was posthumously awarded the George Cross, one of Britain's highest civilian honors. While Britain was making strides with the SOE, the United States launched its own intelligence operation, the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, which later evolved into the CIA. Women played crucial roles in the OSS, with many working undercover in enemy territories. One of the most intriguing OSS operatives was Virginia Hall, who had a wooden leg due to a hunting accident. Known as the Limping Lady, Hall worked for both the SOE and the OSS, infiltrating Nazi-occupied France to gather intelligence and organize sabotage. Hall was so effective that the Gestapo placed her on their most wanted list. Despite this, she continued her work, evading capture and leading operations that crippled German forces. Her efforts earned her the Distinguished Service Cross, the only civilian woman to receive the honor during World War II. Interesting fact, Hall's wooden leg, which she named Cuthbert, became a part of her legend. In one famous communication to London, she wrote, "Cuthbert is giving me trouble, but I can deal with him if necessary." Not all espionage involved cloak and dagger operations in the field. Some women worked in the shadows, conducting psychological warfare to confuse and demoralize the enemy. One such woman was Elizabeth Betty McIntosh, an OSS agent who specialized in disinformation campaigns against the Japanese. Her work included creating false news reports, dropping leaflets with misleading information, and producing fake letters that sowed doubt among Japanese soldiers. McIntosh's creativity in psychological warfare had a profound impact on the Pacific Theater, where misinformation was often as powerful as military might. After the war, her skills were so valued that she continued working for the CIA, using her expertise in disinformation to shape Cold War operations. Interesting fact, McIntosh's work was so secretive that many of her contributions remained classified for decades. Even today, some of her operations are still shrouded in mystery. Segment 7. The Women of the French Resistance. It's easy to think of spies as lone operatives, but the truth is that many women worked within larger resistance movements across Europe. In France, the Maquis, a rural guerrilla resistance group, relied heavily on women to gather intelligence, pass along messages, and assist in sabotage missions. Women like Lucy Aubrac, a teacher-turned-resistance fighter, orchestrated daring rescues, including the escape of her husband from Nazi captivity. Women in the French resistance not only gathered intelligence but also actively participated in acts of sabotage. They bombed railways, disrupted German supply lines, and often worked undercover as couriers, transporting critical information across enemy lines. Their contributions were vital in weakening the Nazi hold on France in the months leading up to D-Day. Interesting fact. The French resistance included thousands of women who took up arms against the Nazis. They formed secret networks, often communicating using codes hidden in knitting patterns or other innocuous methods. Segment 8. Krystyna Skarbek, Poland's legendary spy. No story about World War II women spies would be complete without mentioning Krystyna Skarbek, one of Poland's most legendary operatives. Skarbek, who later adopted the name Christine Granville, worked for the British SOE and carried out some of the most daring missions of the war. She was instrumental in organizing resistance movements in Eastern Europe and played a key role in smuggling Jewish refugees out of Poland. Skarbek's most famous moment came when she convinced a group of German soldiers to surrender, saving countless lives. Her charm and cunning earned her the admiration of her fellow agents, as well as the undying hatred of the Nazis. Skarbek's contributions were so significant that she became one of the most decorated women of the war. Interesting fact, Skarbek was one of Winston Churchill's favorite spies, and he reportedly called her his favorite flame of freedom for her relentless pursuit. Segment 9. The Betrayal of Agent Pearl Witherington. One of the most remarkable agents of the SOE, Pearl Witherington, parachuted into Nazi-occupied France in 1943 under the codename Marie. As part of the Stationer network, her mission was to organize resistance groups and sabotage enemy operations. Despite her determination and resilience, Witherington's work was jeopardized when the Gestapo infiltrated the network. In a dramatic turn of events, her leader, Maurice Southgate, was captured, leaving Witherington to take command. In the aftermath, she organized a 2,000-member resistance force and led a series of sabotage missions that significantly disrupted German logistics during the lead-up to D-Day. The intensity of Witherington's resistance activities placed her on the Gestapo's most wanted list, but she evaded capture and continued fighting until the war's end. Her remarkable leadership earned her posthumous recognition, though, like many women in intelligence, her role was downplayed at the time. Interesting fact, after the war, Witherington refused the MBE, member of the Order of the British Empire, claiming that her wartime contributions merited military, not civilian recognition. She later received France's Legion of Honor for her service. Eliane Plewman's story reads like a tragic opera. A trained dancer, she was recruited by the SOE in 1943 and assigned to the Juggler Network in southern France under the codename Gabby. Her ability to slip in and out of occupied territories undetected was critical to her success. Plewman's primary role involved the transport of explosives and materials to sabotage German trains, factories, and military outposts. However, her fate took a dark turn when her network was infiltrated by the Gestapo. After months of successful sabotage operations, Plewman was arrested in September 1944 and sent to Dachau. She, along with several other female SOE agents, was executed. Despite the horrors she endured, Plewman's contribution to the war was profound, as her sabotage efforts delayed German troop movements and supplies during critical moments of the war. Interesting fact, Plewman's graceful agility, a skill honed in her dancing days, helped her evade capture for an extended period, earning her admiration among her peers as one of the most elusive saboteurs. While many female spies operated under the auspices of allied agencies like the SOE and OSS, a great number of women acted independently or within local resistance movements. These women, often armed with nothing more than their wits and courage, became the backbone of the underground resistance. In Belgium, André de Jong helped establish the Comet Line, a network designed to smuggle downed Allied airmen out of Nazi-occupied Europe. Despite immense personal risk, she and her collaborators successfully guided over 700 airmen to safety through the Pyrenees Mountains. De Jong's work with the Comet Line was eventually discovered, leading to her arrest and deportation to the Ravensbrück and Mauthausen concentration camps. Despite enduring inhumane treatment, she survived the war and went on to receive numerous honors for her bravery, including the George Medal and the U.S. Medal of Freedom. Interesting fact, de Jong's father was also involved in the resistance, but unlike his daughter, he was executed by the Nazis after being captured. De Jong carried on their mission, knowing that his sacrifice had strengthened the Comet Line. While much of the Western world lauded women spies from the SOE and OSS, the women of the Soviet Union played an equally critical role in espionage and warfare during World War II. One of the most famous groups was the Night Witches, an all-female regiment of bomber pilots that struck fear into the hearts of Nazi soldiers. Flying low and cutting their engines to glide silently over enemy positions, these women dropped bombs with incredible precision. However, the Soviet Union also employed women spies in less glamorous but no less dangerous roles. Zoya Kosmodemyanskaya became a Soviet hero for her espionage and sabotage efforts behind German lines. Captured during a mission to burn down enemy supply depots, she was tortured but never gave up her comrades. Her defiance in the face of death turned her into a symbol of Soviet resistance. Interesting fact, the Night Witches flew outdated biplanes that were originally intended for crop dusting, making their success against advanced German aircraft all the more remarkable. Their bravery earned them high recognition, and many of them received the Hero of the Soviet Union award. Segment 13. The Gestapo's Deadliest Foe, Virginia Hall's Legacy. Returning to Virginia Hall, her espionage feats during World War II solidified her as one of the most dangerous spies operating in Europe, but her post-war legacy is equally captivating. After the war, Hall joined the CIA, where she continued to engage in intelligence operations during the early years of the Cold War. Despite her wooden leg, which she had nicknamed Cuthbert, Hall was incredibly adept at both gathering and analyzing intelligence. Her commitment to the craft made her a formidable figure in the evolving world of espionage. Interesting fact, Hall's skills in subterfuge were so advanced that she was able to change her appearance so effectively that even close acquaintances failed to recognize her during undercover missions. Segment 14. Recognition at last, posthumous honors for WWII women spies. For decades after the war, the contributions of these remarkable women remained largely overlooked, overshadowed by their male counterparts. However, as time passed, historians began to uncover their stories, and governments started to recognize the sacrifices these women had made. Several female agents were awarded the George Cross, Britain's highest civilian honor, while others received posthumous military awards. In 2012, a statue was unveiled in London honoring the women of the SOE, a testament to their enduring legacy. Yet even with this recognition, many of their stories remain untold, their sacrifices unknown to the broader public. Interesting fact: in 2006, the British government finally declassified many of the files related to SOE missions, shedding light on the extraordinary bravery of these female spies. Yet for many, their missions and identities remain classified to this day, a final tribute to their lives lived in the shadows. The stories of women spies during World War II laid the foundation for future generations of female intelligence operatives. The daring missions, the sheer courage in the face of death, and the ability to blend into enemy territory served as valuable lessons for the intelligence agencies that followed. Today, women are an integral part of intelligence agencies worldwide, serving as agents, analysts, and directors in organizations such as the CIA, MI6, and Mossad. Women like Mossad agent Sylvia Raphael, who played a crucial role in capturing key figures involved in the Munich massacre, owe part of their legacy to the women of World War II. The resilience, courage, and intelligence displayed by these wartime heroines continue to inspire modern-day operatives, ensuring that the legacy of World War II's women spies will never be forgotten. Interesting fact: as of 2023, more than 40% of CIA officers are women, a significant increase from the wartime era when women were mostly relegated to behind-the-scenes roles. Conclusion. As we wrap up this journey into the hidden world of women spies in World War II, we're left with a deep sense of awe for their courage, intelligence, and selflessness. These women risked everything, from their identities to their very lives, to secure a better future for the world. Yet for many years their stories remained in the shadows, their contributions overlooked. But now, it's time we shine a light on their bravery. These women, Nancy Wake, Noor Inayat Khan, Violette Szabo, and so many others, changed the course of history. Their acts of defiance, sabotage, and espionage were as significant as any battle fought in the war. Let their stories remind us that heroes come in all shapes and forms, and sometimes the greatest heroes are those we hear the least about. If you found this exploration of World War II's forgotten women spies fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story from Infinitia Verity. Stay tuned for more incredible tales from the shadows of history where the untold stories await.